Good morning, friends. Today we're going to talk about unsolved mystery that took place nearly 100 years ago in the remote corner of Canada. Now, here comes the story of Anjikuni Lake, a mystery once on the front page of news all over the world. Everybody in an entire village just disappeared. Perhaps you are wondering if it is true, and if so, how an entire village vanished into thin air without anyone noticing. Tune in for today's video to uncover the mystery behind this incident, including theories about why it happened and some of the explanations proposed over the years. Let's get started. The events took place in November 1930. An old fur trapper, Joe Labelle, was crossing the area around Anjikuni Lake in Canada on his accustomed route. Joe has previously passed by the Inuit village that resided by the lake, a quiet but established community which had been there for several years. But something was different this time. As he entered the village, an eerie silence. The structures were all there, the huts and the tents, belongings, and nobody was to be found anywhere. The cooking fires burned on, food, half-cooked. Still, nothing in evidence. This sent Joe to reporting his find immediately to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP. But some reports even mentioned that several graves in that area were opened as if bodies had been taken away. And the opposite, even scarier, was that some slaughtered sled dogs were found to contribute to the mystery and fearfulness. Now let's examine popular theories presented for many years trying to explain this mysterious disappearance. These theories range from local legends to scientific explanations. One theory assumes that the village people just moved away. The region around Anjikuni Lake is very cold and unforgiving, and there was often a scarcity of food. Perhaps the villagers left because they did not have enough to eat. If they had indeed intended to move, it would make no sense that they would depart so haphazardly and with such minimal preparation. They would have left burning cooking fires and left some of their most necessary items behind. Another theory mentions that maybe a natural disaster was there, like a storm or an earthquake. In this case, however, this is impossible, since there was no report saying that such a thing happened in the area at that time. If a disaster occurred suddenly then surely there must be some sign of it, like footsteps or a trail. Then there are the more supernatural explanations. It is said that maybe a spirit or even some type of alien could have caused it. There was supposed to have been odd lights in the sky above Anjikuni Lake. However, proof for these legends comes mostly in anecdotal terms. Some natives claim to have seen the lights. However, there is no concrete evidence to prove this. Of course, there are alien theory claims that sound a little too far-fetched. Yet, despite this, it has gained traction in pockets of society who advocate for paranormal explanations. Another fascinating theory focuses on local beliefs and cultural practices. There are spiritual beliefs in Inuit communities that respect spirits and the supernatural forces of nature. Some historians believe that perhaps something triggered a psychological or spiritual response in the community, causing them to leave or disappear in some odd manner. The story spread quickly throughout North America, but through the press, the tale was sensationalized. Standards and reporting through news media were not as high a barometer in these times. Much of what was printed was sensationalized for the sake of selling a story. Some credit the RCMP as downplaying and possibly even dismissing the occurrence altogether. One source in RCMP papers points to an inability to locate any evidence of a mass disappearance near Anjikuni Lake. So if there's no proof on paper, then did it actually take place? Or maybe it is just a legend that grew over time and became a mystery. Modern investigators have tried to probe this case. For instance, the Canadian writer and skeptic Stuart Henderson Britt believes that perhaps the story was embellished. Historian Frank Edwards, too, could not find any official document about such an incident happening in RCMP records. In other words, it did not give evidence for any large-scale disappearances. Hence, possibly this was a story rather than the reality. Friends, the mystery of Anjikuni Lake reminds us that some stories are interesting precisely because they leave too many questions unanswered. And who knows? Perhaps it did occur, or perhaps it is a legend sensationalized over time. At times, we will never know all the answers, and maybe the intention is that some mysteries remain unsolved.